Good morning, everyone. I hope you have a great day today. I am recording this early morning now. We're during the week now. This is Monday, so pretty much all the partiers have gone. So I can record when it's quiet. I need quiet time. So for the message today, you ever say, I quit? I've had it with this job. There's a song out there, take this job and shut. I won't go into that. But in any case, we all deal with a situation at work or with somebody that is just, they've pushed too far. Well, we all get there. Some people will try to do their best to keep up, and what they end up doing is they end up wearing themselves out, and then they get sick. Things like that. So you got to be careful. So we're going to look at an example of this in the Bible. God is patient. He will be patient with us while we go through this. He understands. So it happened to Moses. Moses, this famous leader, led the people out of Egypt, led them almost to the promised land. It's time to pass the mantle to Joshua, but he gave them the laws. He talked to God, and yet he had trouble because he was their emissary. You had to have a buffer between the people and God because God couldn't deal with them directly. We have a sin nature, and God can't deal with that. Moses did too. But he could deal with one and not more than one, I guess. I don't know. Moses was obedient and faithful. Okay. So, the people were constantly going to Moses. We want this. We need this. We want this. We don't have anything to eat. What are we going to do? God goes to Moses. He's the middleman. Moses goes, okay. God goes, okay, Moses, I'll give them manna. I'm curious what this is. I really don't know what manna would be. But God gave it to him. Like I said, there was a jar of it in the ark if it's still available. Now, my last message, I talked about the 10 Commandments. And I said that they had problems with this golden calf while he was away. So we're going to read on some of that. We're going to see what Moses had to put up with. Exodus 32:1. Now when the people saw that Moses were delayed in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron, Moses' brother, and said, come, make us gods, plural, who will go before us. As for this Moses who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know where he is. We don't know what's happened to him. He's been gone too long. We're without a God. We don't know what to do. Patience. Didn't have a lot of patience. And there was not this wasn't a handful. They're estimating that maybe 1 million came out of Egypt. And that's just the men. There was a lot of Jews. Verse 2, so Aaron told them, come on, Aaron, you know better than this. Take off the gold earrings that are on your wives and sons and daughters and bring them to me. This is all the loot that they gathered from the Egyptian people who were happy to see him go. And all the people took off their gold earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took the gold from their hands, and with an engraving tool he fashioned it into a molten calf. Well, he had some talent anyway, so he made him a golden calf. And they said, what is this? Bug on the outside of my tent. These, O Israel, are your gods who brought you up from the land of Egypt. Come on, Aaron. Now, Aaron lived in the land of gods. Moses was the exception. So I'm not surprised that he would revert back. And Aaron saw this. He built an altar before the calf and proclaimed, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord." So the next day they arose, offered burnt offerings, and presented peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink. And then they got up to indulge in some revelry. Verse 7, Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once, for your people whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves." Well, they were corrupt when they came. They were just following Moses, who was not there to lead them. How quickly they have turned aside from the way that I commanded them. They have made for themselves a molten calf and have bowed down to it. They have sacrificed to it, and they have said, "These, O Israel, are your gods who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." So this is what Moses had to deal with. And of course, God has to deal with this ultimately with all of us. We've all got bits and pieces of this in ourselves that God has to constantly shake his head, take a deep breath, and not destroy us. The Lord said to Moses, "I have seen this people. They are indeed a stiff-necked people." Just talked about pride. That's the sign of a proud person, to be stiff-necked. God talking again. "Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn against them and consume them." He's getting ready to destroy them. "Then I will make you into a great nation." Forget Abraham. We'll do it with you. But Moses sought the favor of the Lord his God, saying, "O Lord, why does your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand?" So he goes on to say, what are the Egyptians going to say? That you brought them out into the desert just to kill them? So he's arguing for their behalf. Let's turn to Numbers 11:1. Soon the people began to complain again, as was their custom, about their hardship in the hearing of the Lord. And when he heard it, complaining in the hearing of the Lord, he's omnipresent. Anytime you complain, he's going to hear it. His anger was kindled, and fire from the Lord blazed among them and consumed the outskirts of the camp. He had fires. Someone's hammering something up. I can hear him outside. And the people cried out to Moses, and he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So this place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord had burned among them. Okay, they got names for everything. Meanwhile, the rabble among them had a strong craving for other food. And again the Israelites wept and said, "Who will feed us meat?" Getting fed from God directly with manna, but now they want meat. They're going to get quail, but they wanted meat. Never happy. We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt. There were slaves in Egypt. How quickly we forget. Along with the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. What kind of a salad could I make with that? Yes. But now our appetite is gone. There is nothing to see but this manna. Now, I don't know what it is, but in 11:7 it says, "Now the manna resembled coriander seed." It's a small seed, and its appearance was like that of gum resin. That's all we've got to go on. Interested to find out what it is. So that's 11:7. Now we're going to see what he has to deal with. We're going to jump to 11:11. And this is Moses' lament. We all get like this. I get like this. Everybody. So Moses asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, that you have laid upon me the burden of all these people? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth so that you should tell me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries an infant, to the land that you swore to their fathers you would give them? Where can I get meat for all these people? For they keep crying out to me, give us meat to eat. I cannot carry all these people by myself. It is too burdensome for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please kill me right now." Glad God doesn't answer all of our prayers? "If I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my own wretchedness." So he's had it. Kill me, God, now. We can laugh at that, but I mean, he had to be in a miserable state. I had another story to tell you, but I don't want to tie it into this directly, so I'll wait and I'll mention it. But I have good news on one of my fronts. But we get to that in another video because I don't want to tie it to this. But sometimes things just can overwhelm us. That's why we have Psalm 23. He will make us lie down in green pastures. He doesn't say he'll allow us. He will make us lie down. Sometimes we need to just pull away. Clear the head. It's the only way that we can function. If we just keep carrying this burden, I can be like this, and it's a problem that I have to deal with. I don't want to burden people with my problems. Sometimes I'll ask for prayers from you, but in general, I don't tell you all the stuff I go through during the day. It's amazing that God keeps me going in spite of it all. Sometimes we just, as we hold it in, and we don't give it to God immediately, it builds up. You don't necessarily have to give it to other people, but you have to give it to God. If you give it to God, the burden is lifted, and it's not your responsibility. It's like, I'm here, I'm right in the middle of this. They're looking to me for an answer. Moses saying, what do I do? I can't give them what they're asking for. So, if you get like that, get where it's quiet. Complain to God. He can listen. He's got ears to listen. Get it out of your system. Don't keep it bottled up inside. Whatever your problem is. If you bottle up inside, it can make you sick. And if you don't want to be sick, give it to God. Trust Him. Have faith. If what you're doing is for the Lord, as Moses was doing, God always came through. But Moses was he was on a personal basis with God, and to some degree that was probably not a good thing. It was his downfall in the end. They're asking for water at the end. You know the story. Once before, God said, strike the rock and water will come out. So he struck the rock with his staff, his big wooden staff that he held up to part the seas. And it turned into a snake in front of Pharaoh. Pretty powerful staff. But he said, speak to the rock. Moses got mad. These people once again are burdening me. God's people are looking to me. So he hit the rock with his staff again, a second time, instead of speaking to it. That was a direct disobedience to God. See how sometimes we want to argue these things with God? I wasn't really sinning. I did what you asked me to do, but not the way I asked you to do it. See? Follow God's instructions to the letter. But it kept him from getting into the promised land. It was time for Joshua to take over anyway, but Moses could only get up on the mountain and look down and see the promised land. God wants to work with us. He wants to help us to do the things that he wants us to do. It can be burdensome. Dealing with people and trying to help people who don't want help can be a problem. Or trying to help people who have it fixed in their mind, this is the only way I'm going to accept this help. I won't accept it any other way. And that can be a problem. So you turn it to God. God, here, I don't know what to do. They want this. You heard them. What do we do? What are you going to do? What are you going to have me do? God has infinite patience. But he's also a jealous God, so that's why he can get angry. No idols. He hates idols because he knows they're a lie. All right. Have a great day with God. Tell him you love him today. And then tell the people around you you love them too. We don't know when we're getting out of here. Don't waste a day. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.